So the government is shut down, which...
And the head of the socialist wing of the Democratic Party is Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. She's really calling these shots. In fact, Senator Schumer is trying to ingratiate himself to the socialist wing of his party and to the Congresswoman. And I have to tell you, I don't hate anybody. I don't mean any disrespect. But based on her policies and beliefs, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is single-handedly trying to put an end to dumb blonde jokes. I mean, based on her policies, $1.5 trillion, she must be bilingual. She's speaking English and stupid. There's no way we're going to go along with this.
In the arena of political debate, most people are conditioned to tune out as soon as the numbers start flying. We hear about trillions and continuing resolutions, and our eyes glaze over because it feels disconnected from the grocery bill or the mortgage. But every once in a while, a moment occurs that forces the reality of the situation into sharp, uncomfortable focus. This wasn't a standard policy disagreement. It was a demonstration of how the political class uses complex language to mask simple, expensive choices. Before we look at the specific figures, we have to understand the framing. This was an intentional effort to pull back the curtain on what is actually being demanded in exchange for a functioning government.
So the government is shut down, which means that Capitol tours are closed, but we had a bus of kids from the Bronx and schools that came all the way down here for a tour. Obviously no one knew the government was shut down, so I'm giving them a tour. Say hi, everybody!
Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is. She's running the show. It was no accident the other day the Congresswoman let it slip. She said, if you really want to negotiate an end of this shutdown, come see me. Come see me. And I think any fair-minded person has to look right now and say that the two leading members, the quarterback, the two leading members of the socialist wing of the Democratic Party, the quarterback is Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. Now, her substitute is Senator Bernie Sanders. But I think it's the Congresswoman who's calling these shots. Now, Mr. President, I don't hate anybody. I've said that repeatedly, and I mean it. I like all of my colleagues. I look for grace wherever I can find it. When I say my prayers, I do. Every single time, I ask God, don't let me hate. Because it's hard sometimes. It's hard up here. But I do. I say, God, don't let me hate. And I certainly don't hate Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. I want to make that very clear. She has the right to her opinion. She has the right to try to have the socialists take over the Democratic Party. That's the American way. Ironically, I think what she's doing is anti-American, but she has the right as an American to do it, so I don't hate her. But I judge her by her policy. She has her opinion, and I have mine. And I have to judge her candidly by her policy. Here is what the socialist wing of the Democratic Party, led by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, has said to the American people and to the United States Congress and the Republicans in Congress. If you Republicans don't agree to make the federal government $1.5 trillion, not million dollars, not billion dollars, $1.5 trillion bigger, we're going to shut government down. Well, of course we said no. I'm not going to vote for that. My mother didn't raise a fool. And as I've said before, if she did, it was one of my brothers. I'm never going to vote for that. Now, where do I come up with this figure of $1.5 trillion? Well, the first thing that the socialists and Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is asking us to do is to repeal the health care reforms in the one big beautiful bill. We just passed them. We just passed them. Here it is, Subtitle B, Health in the one big beautiful bill. Now, we didn't cut Medicaid in the one big beautiful bill. In fact, under our bill, Medicaid is going to increase 2% a year over the next 10 years. We found $3.6 million for pastry cooking classes and dance focus groups for male prostitutes in Haiti. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. It was in the budget under President Biden. We took it out. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez in the socialist wing, the loon wing of the Democratic Party, says we're going to shut down government until you put it back in. $4.2 million. We took it out. The Congresswoman and the socialist wing of their party says we got to put that back in for the open government. $4.2 million for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex people in the Western Balkans and Uganda. An American to do it, so I don't hate her. But I judge her by her policy. She has her opinion, and I have mine. And I have to judge her candidly by her policy. Here is what the socialist wing of the Democratic Party, led by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, has said to the American people and to the United States Congress and the Republicans in Congress. If you Republicans...
This moment matters because it illustrates a fundamental shift in how Washington operates. When a $1 trillion expansion of the state is treated not as a radical proposal, but as a baseline requirement for keeping the lights on, the concept of fiscal responsibility has been entirely redefined. This isn't just a clash of parties, it's a collision between a system that survives on perpetual growth and a public that is expected to fund it without question. Ultimately, the survival of a transparent government depends on whether we value the slogans or the actual outcomes of the policies they represent.